Welcome to Bank of America Business Fundamentals Series 1. I am your host, Irene Cho. Today, topic covered starting a small business. Are you ready to own a business, building a business plan, marketing, and funding session? This webinar is brought to you in partnership with EWDD, BusinessSource Pico-Union Westlake region operated by PACE Business Development Center and Bank of America. This webinar will be recorded and you may find it on our website e-library after a week or so. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. Please mute yourself during the webinar. We will have the last 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A session. So please ask the question during the Q&A session using raising hand emoji or writing question in the Q&A box. Before we get to topic of the day, I'd like to introduce PACE briefly. PACE was originally formed in 1975, and we've been helping the small business owners and local low-income household ever since. Our Business Development Center provide many counseling services for local small business owners. We also provide free webinars and training to accommodate your business to take another level. We have also various loan programs you can apply to your business. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website or give us a call. Okay, let's welcoming our guest speaker today, special guest speaker Manny.
Thank you, Irene. Are you guys able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Manny Karamalian. I'm a production manager with Bank of America and our corporate social responsibility team. I've been with the bank for over 17 years, and I've done everything from working in the financial centers to working with businesses over the past 12 years now. So that's a little bit about me. For the purposes of time, obviously we're not gonna get to introduce everybody. We'd love to learn more about all of you guys, but as we go through the presentation, I know I already mentioned we're gonna have a Q&A session at the end, and we will, but if there's something that you really wanna address during the presentation, feel free to put the question on the chat, and as long as time permits, we'll make sure to answer it. So today we are going to talk about starting a small business. And so you're either here because you're thinking about starting a small business, you just started a small business, or just simply to learn more. So a few things.
Manny, before we get started, can you make a full screen, please?
Yes, let me make that bigger. Is that better?
Yeah, but can you make full screen? It's not that big.
Let's see here. Because I have it, I have it at 125%. I'm wondering why it's doing that. Let me stop this really quick and share it differently. It's weird. There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. So, so a couple of the things that we want to accomplish today is really talk about some of the things that we need to consider before starting a business. The second thing I will be talking about is some of the components of the business plan. And the third thing that will talk about some about taxes and other financial issues that you want to consider. We will be putting some resources. A lot of these materials are available for you to use at your own time. So we'll definitely share those with you as well. So important considerations to think about before starting a small business, right? Like you see here, are you ready? There's a few things: professional experience, personal life, financial health. But before I move to the next slide, I would love to maybe hear from some of you. And again, you guys can put it on the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself. But what are some things that you should consider before starting a small business?
You guys can raising your hand if you have any question, or write the answer in the chat box.
Looking at the screen to see if there are any hands.
Okay.
Your saving.
Yeah.
I see savings, your family stability, have a knowledge in the field you want to start your business. Absolutely. Know the market. I love that one. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we're talking about the business plan. Anything else? Those are all really good things to consider. So as we go, and again, we are breaking it down into 3 different categories, right? We talked about financial, so we heard savings. We talked about personal, your family's stability. We talked about professional, the knowledge in the field that you want to start with, right? So here are a few questions to ask yourself, right? With the experience, that is a given one. I mean, is it mandatory to have the experience? No, but does it help? Absolutely, right? So if you have the experience, maybe you worked for somebody for many years in a specific field, and now you feel ready to start on your own, then yes, you do have the professional background, right? Maybe you know somebody that's doing the same job that you want to start, and they're willing to mentor you. So that could be something to consider, because you want to have people that surround you in order to make the business successful. And then do you have a network of successful people that maybe you can run your idea by, so that they can kind of prepare you and anticipate challenges that you may have? So those are just some of the things from the professional perspective. As we switch to the financial side, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, many businesses fail. I forgot the percentages, but it's a very high percentage number, right? 90-something% of businesses fail within the first year, right? So the financial component becomes very key, right? Are you ready to quit your job and start your business full time? Do you have the savings ready to be able to do that? Or are you able to start something small while you're doing your job, right, and see how it goes? Do you have, if you're planning on leaving your job to do this full time, have you considered the implications? Because it's not just the income from your existing job, right? It could be the insurance, some of the other benefits that you're taking advantage of that you may no longer have. And then last but not least, on the personal side, right? A lot of business owners, right? When we think about starting your own business, there are many reasons why you want to start your own business. And I would love to talk about that right now here in a second. But it is a time commitment, especially during the first few months, maybe the first year or two. You're going to spend a lot of time. So are you ready for the impact that that's going to have on you and also your family? So before I move to the next slide, I would love to maybe hear on the chat as well, what are some of the reasons that you want to start your own business? Or you can also raise your hand and we can hear your voice if you like. Make a change. Yep. Control of direction, values of the company, do things differently. I love that. Anyone else? I mean, these are all really good points, right? You want to make a change. You have a product, but you know that you could do it better. Deliver a better system to the market, right? You found the need. There is something missing in the market that you have identified, and you have the solution. That is the best type of business. I saw a hand being raised. No? Okay.
I forgot, I missed who raised the hand.
Yeah, I
Can
saw
you do
it,
it
but it went
again,
away.
please? Yeah.
That's okay, no problem. If we see it again, we can go back. So, thank you for sharing that, by the way. So when we think about, another thing that we think about when we're talking about being ready is employee mindset versus entrepreneur mindset. And I have interacted with many, many different businesses throughout the years. I have seen businesses from starting to failing to doing something different to failing again. Then I've also seen businesses that started as a part-time job. Now they're full-time. They have multiple businesses, a physical location, right? And so one of the things that could potentially impact your ability to make your business successful is having an employee mindset versus an entrepreneur mindset. And so what do I mean by that? I mean, a lot of us are real jobs. You know your stuff, you know what to do, you know how to do it. A lot of you are probably the best at your current jobs, you know everything A to Z. But that is very, very different from running your own business. So what do you think are some of those differences? And again, feel free to share some things. You need to know finance. Yep, absolutely. I cannot tell you enough how many times I have gone to a business owner that is, and we're gonna talk a little bit on this, right? But a business owner that wanted to borrow money from the bank, and we ask him for financial reports, right? We ask him for a profit and loss, a balance sheet, their tax returns, and they had no idea what we were talking about. They were not ready. They had not mastered that side of their business, and that could potentially not only hurt your business, but also impact your ability to raise money, right? So a really good point, Nadia. Anyone else? All right, I know you guys are being a little shy here. No problem. We'll jump right in, right? So we got employee mindset versus entrepreneur mindset, right? An employee, you tell me what to do, I will do it. But if you don't tell me what to do, I'm just gonna wait until somebody tells me what to do, right? Now I know that's not everybody, but that's an employee mindset. An employee might say, you know what, I'm not going to work past my 9 to 5. As soon as it's 5 o'clock, I'm out the door. Well, a business owner, an entrepreneur knows that you're gonna work more than 9 to 5, right? Even when you're not working, your brain is gonna be thinking about how can I make this business better. An employee doesn't take the risk. For example, if if an employee makes a mistake, yes, he could be reprimanded. Maybe the manager will talk to them, but is the business the one that takes the risk, right? With that mistake, is the business that is gonna get the complaint, is gonna have to address and fix that situation. Versus an entrepreneur, everything starts and ends with you, right? So you gotta be able to be emotionally and really physically trained to be able to handle those situations. I know a lot of people, right, that work at the bank, but outside of the bank, they will not discuss anything bank related, right? Now, that's not everybody. A lot of people are proud of for the companies that they work with. But a business owner has to talk about their business and market it and every single opportunity that they get. Going back to the entrepreneur mindset, an employee could understand the job. Again, you know everything from A to Z, but you may not understand other facts of the business. I'll share another example. Doctors, dentists, veterinarians. They're one of the most successful businesses that you can find, right? They have a lot of businesses. There's a big need. They're profitable, but they don't teach you how to run a business in medical school. They don't. I mean, they may touch on it a little bit to pass the courses, but you don't really learn about that. And so if you don't embrace, HR, hiring and retaining employees, managing risk, the financial aspect of it, that could really hurt your business, right? And really, we've seen it all. Again, I've seen dental offices that make 5 million in annual sales, and they almost keep no revenue because they don't know how to manage that office. Versus if you're looking at the whole picture, you are more likely to, retain good talent, be more efficient with your office, and obviously be more profitable. And again, we talked a little bit about you may get reprimanded as an employee, but as a business owner, and this is a crucial thing, you're gonna be the one that you're gonna have to tell yourself, I'm gonna start this business. There are going to be challenges. I may fail at some of these things, but I'm willing to get back up, find a solution, and keep moving forward, right? So that's really the difference among those things. So if you have any questions about that first section, or you want to expand on any of that, please feel free to let us know. Save that question for the end. We'll make sure to talk more about that. Now let's talk about the components of a business plan. So before we jump right here, I want to highlight that a business plan is not necessarily required, right? But it is highly, highly recommended. I know many business owners that they didn't do a business plan. They just had an idea. They went and took it one day at a time, one step at a time, and over time, over the course of a few weeks, months, all of a sudden they had a business, right? Now, can a business be successful like that? 100%. Is it gonna be more challenging? Absolutely. So the business plan is meant for you to, plan. I know that Nadia mentioned know the market, right? Research the market, research the product. We're gonna talk about a few other things here, but that is the importance of doing a business plan. So we're gonna talk here about the business plan and some of the components. Feel free to use the barcode to get some of the documents where you can, it's a guide on how to do your business plan on your own. But we'll talk about some of the areas here, not all of them, but we'll talk about some of them and the importance of them, and some of the places where you can get some of those resources, right? So let's go into the executive summary, right? The executive summary, this is you basically saying, this is what my business is. This is why I think this product, this service, this business is needed. And this is why we're going to be successful, right? Or this is what differentiates us from anybody else. So again, this is meant to be about one page, very short to the point, where if somebody just looks at it, they get a pretty good idea of what the business is going to be about. Now, what do you want to answer in the executive summary? Again, your goals, your objectives, right? What is your motivation, right? I mean, if you put make money, yeah, that's great. We all want to make money, but somebody that's maybe trying to invest in your business might not buy into that, right? They want to see, they want to know that you have a vision, that you have a plan, that you know how to execute it, that you're motivated, right? So that's why this is so important. And then we talked about the target market, right? What is your value proposition? So can somebody tell me what is a value proposition in your own words? Because I know that's a word that we use a lot in finance, but we'd love to hear from some of you. What does that mean? You know, somebody's thinking, maybe typing, remembering where the chat is. No, nobody? All right. So a value proposition is really like what are you offering, right? What are you offering that is different? What differentiates you from anybody else, right? And depending on the type of business, that might look different, right? If you're a consultant, maybe your value proposition is that you have experience in this field that separates you from anybody else, because you've done it for longer, you work for a specific company, you have a specific certification, right? That's part of your value proposition. If you're a restaurant, right? What is your value proposition? You know, there is nothing in the community that you're planning on opening, and you're providing an alternative, a healthy alternative to most of the other restaurants in the region. So that is your value proposition. And to be honest with you, it is one of the most important things, right? Like if you think about it, like I know for me personally, that makes a big impact on who I interact or do business with, because I want to know that they have a strong value proposition, that they're going to add value, um, and that they have important goals and objectives. So let's keep moving here. On the executive summary, right? Like, how do you plan on accomplishing this? What is your target market, right? What is your target demographic? Your age range, right? Like, who are your clients? Who are you gonna target this product or service to? And then a big important part, right? How will you fund your business, right? Do you have savings? Are you gonna borrow money from somebody? You know, are you gonna take from your personal savings? Like, how are you planning on funding your business? And then, how will you be profitable in year 1, 3, and 5, right? And this is not about putting numbers that we're hoping that we're gonna accomplish, right? This is about, you know, doing the homework, which we'll talk a little bit more in the next pages, and saying, because I'm going to do A, B, and C over the next 12 months, and this is how many clients I anticipate getting based on this, I think that this is the type of revenue that we're gonna have, or this is how much profitable we're going to be, right? So there has to be some math and some, not facts, but some strong factor estimates into those numbers. All right, company description. So again, the business plan will have some information about the company description. This is obviously very standard, right? You want whoever is reading that business plan, whether it's a financial institution, a business technical assistance organization, or a partner that you're thinking of recruiting, like, you want them to know what is the business name, right? Do you have your licenses? Do you have a phone number? Do you have an email? Do you have a website? That sort of thing. We're gonna keep moving here. Another big part of the market, of the business plan, is the competitive analysis, right? So if you think about it, this is where you're really doing that homework, that research. You're talking about all the things that we've been mentioning, right? What is gonna differentiate you from the competition, your product and price, you know, how do you plan on getting market share, and what are some challenges that you might even anticipate, right? Like, maybe you're saying, I'm bringing this product to this market because this is being a challenge or a gap, you know, in this market, right? Like, you cannot find this product. It's very hard to find. It's very expensive. There's no alternative to this product, right? So even if you think that there is a lot of, you know, the thing comes to mind right now, right? Like, let's think about it, for example, for sodas. There's sodas everywhere. We got, you know, Coke branded sodas, we got Pepsi branded sodas, we got other sodas, right? But still, you know, on a daily basis, almost, you hear of a new product that has come into the market, right? Something that's going to differentiate. And I'm thinking of, I think it was Pepsi that just bought it. Is it Poppy? I think they bought it. They bought Poppy is a healthy soda alternative. If you haven't heard about it, where it has probiotics, it's not made. It has less sugar. You know, it's supposed to be a healthy soda alternative, and they just launched maybe two and a half, 3 years ago, and they got bought out by Pepsi for, I think it's something like 2 billion. Okay. So again, do you have something that's going to differentiate you? You know, can you identify what's missing from the market and point it out so that whoever is reading the plan knows that you have done your research and homework? So leadership and organization, right? This is one that it always has a lot of questions, right? We can always answer all, but I'm happy to answer and direct you to some more additional resources here. But this is like, what are you planning on doing, right? Is this a small business that you're planning doing part-time and that's all you want to do, right? Is it gonna be just you? Are you gonna do it with somebody? Are you gonna have investors, right? That all of those things will determine the type of entity you're gonna set up, right? We have sole proprietorships, we got, you know, LLCs, we got partnerships, we got corporations, right? So that is very, very important because that is also gonna determine, you know, the number of individuals in the organization, the level of protection, the level of complexity, that sort of thing. So profiles of board of members and management, again, so if you happen to be setting up a very, you know, complex business, or not necessarily complex, but something where you have a lot of investors, a lot of people that are gonna run the business, right? Maybe it's a startup with 10 people, right? And you guys are all part of the management team. It would be very important for people to know who is in that organization, right? What are their roles and responsibilities, and how are they gonna contribute to the success of the company, right? So that is why this page comes in handy. Organizational structure, again, you know, maybe you have an LLC with a managing member, or maybe you have a corporation with a CEO and a president plus a secretary, maybe an accountant or director, right? So what is that structure look like? So again, you heard me mention some of the things here. This is just a very basic explanation. I'll share with you before we end the call some resources that are available as well that tell you a little bit more detail into it. But that is the biggest difference, right? It's sole proprietor is very easy. You could do it with your own social, or you could apply for a tax ID number. You know, but again, everything falls on you. A partnership, right? That's if maybe it's a 50-50 partnership, or maybe there's an investor that wants to be a silent partner and he wants to, you know, do 30% of the company. It's a little bit more, not as much paperwork, right? But the responsibility falls on the partners. And then the LLC, it's easier to operate. The LLC does not pay taxes. It goes through the business owners, right? And then we also have over here on the next slide. I guess we didn't have it on this presentation. There's also obviously corporation, C Corp, S Corp, and that is obviously a little bit more complex. If you want to be able to provide shares to individuals that want to invest in the company. And again, there's a lot of more resources about the legal structure, but most people, when they start, as you can imagine, they will either start with a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or an LLC. All right. So again, we talked a little bit about this earlier as well, right? The leadership and organization. So who are your board members? Who's running the company? A little bit more information about them and what they do, maybe what their background is, how they're going to contribute to the success of the company. Now, product or service, right? So again, what is your product or service? And this is not so much, you know, again, the level of detail, the amount of time you spend in building your business plan. It's also a very good reflection of, you know, whether or not you're detail oriented, right? So if you just say, well, I Googled it and it said that this product is selling really good, and so I want to do the same thing, right? That's not the same as saying, this is the type of research I've done, right? I went and review competitors' products. I created a survey and I send it out to 30, 40, 50 people to get their feedback on what they thought about this product. I did some research. The Small Business Administration has a lot of resources that you could do where you can review, for example, different industries and what their expected revenue or growth is over the next few years. And so that can help you position some of the things that you want to do in the business plan. All right, so marketing plan. So from a marketing plan perspective, obviously we know some of the things, right? And we're gonna talk about them, but what are some ways that, and I'm just curious, that you're already thinking on planning to market your product, right? Like, what does that look like? What comes to mind? And again, you can put it on the chat or you can raise your hand. This is your opportunity to put some of the things and maybe share it with others, some things that you're thinking about from a marketing perspective. No? All right. I'm hoping that you guys are just taking good notes. So the marketing plan should focus on those things, right? Market penetration, growth, channels, and communication, right? So how are you planning on growing market share, right? On penetrating that market? How are you planning on growing market share or clients? What channels are you gonna use, right? Are you gonna, oh, I see two hands. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Amy, let's go to you and then we'll go to Jean. No, maybe, I know, Jean? Or Jeannie? No, it was a mistake. Here, let me see if I can unlock, where is it?
Hello.
There you are. Okay, perfect.
I just wanted to bring to your attention, we were putting comments in the chat, but I'm not sure if you see them.
Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. You're right. My chat got stuck and it didn't move. I just saw all of the other ones.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for
No-
bringing it to my attention.
No problem.
So Google Ads for local customers using bots. Thank you for that. Brochures, documentary on Netflix, targeted emails, blogs or ads. And then, so let me go to Amy. Amy, I'm gonna allow you to talk. And then Nadia, I wanna hear more about your documentary on Netflix. So Amy?
Yeah, I was trying to let you know about the chat as well.
Okay, you guys are so kind. Thank you so much. I wish, we had a camera so I could see your signs and you're like, like you can point to what I need to look at. But thank you. So I'll make sure to refresh this. Nadia, so talk to me about the documentary on Netflix. How do you plan on using that to market your plan or idea? Where is Nadia? Let me unmute you. There you are.
Yes. So my unique selling proposition, it's about changing the physical environment of the companies, so of the offices, and it takes inspiration from a documentary which is already available on Netflix, which is The Social Dilemma. So my idea is to work with the guys from The Social Dilemma who worked on Google and who wanted to do a different way of living the AI. So my perspective is a genuine perspective of how employees are living their working day lives. So I will create a documentary, like a movie, about how employees will live their working lives inside of the company. So it will be my vision translated in a documentary on Netflix.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Nadia. So basically you're saying, based on that idea you got from the Social Dilemma documentary, your plan is to work on, if I'm understanding correctly, helping employees create work-life balance so that when they leave work, like, is that what I'm
Yes,
doing? I love that.
yes.
I love that. Please, once you have this business going on, come back and tell us how you're doing it so that you can help all of us have work-life balance. I love that.
Thank you.
I saw Lavish, I think also you wanted to talk. So let me turn on your mic and see if you, was there anything you wanted to add?
Just touching on like different ways that you can market yourself. You can like for me, I am a boutique owner. We're starting online, but just collaborating with other brands, because I sell multiple brands. I design resort wear for women, and then I also carry like vacation inspired accessories, handbags, and things like that, and other designers pieces as well. So just being able to get their product photos so that you're not like just doing
Yeah.
all the work yourself, but just, you know, utilizing the company you're collaborating with, using all their resources and things like that. So it can just kind of you know, shorten your path to getting your
Yeah.
marketing across.
I love that. And that is a great thing, right? So a lot of people are doing that. I know I have a couple of friends with their businesses, and they do a ton of collaborations, right? They bring specific DJs, they do uh, ads with different businesses collaborating where they go to each other's businesses and they support. It's a really great way and even organic way to market your product and service. So thank you for sharing. So again, you know, this is really great. And by the way, I know we're doing good on time, but it sounds like some of you guys are already business owners. So some of the things you may already be doing. So I want to kind of keep moving forward, get to the Q&A. That way, if there are any more complex ideas, we can kind of touch on them a little bit as well. So you know, one of the ways that we talked about, what are those communication methods? Social media is one of them, right? There is a ton of free courses out there for marketing and social media. There are organizations, the Small Business Nonprofit, the SBA, PACE, SCORE, that have technical expertise, individuals that can help you put together your business plan, you know, teach you about social media and how to leverage it for your business. But really, in this day and age, you cannot do anything without social media. It's such a powerful tool to grow your business and engage with followers. Yes. And, okay. So some of the things to consider, again, you know, you cannot really use social media if you don't have followers, right? So you gotta like build it organically, make sure you have. You know, I know I took a couple of sessions myself, some of those free courses that I mentioned, and one of the things that they talked about is that, you know, it's almost like out of sight, out of mind, right? So you can grow your business or market by posting something once a month. Like nobody's gonna remember, right? Like your followers, the community, prospective clients, they want to see that you're active. They want to see what you're doing, how you're doing it, right? That sort of thing. So that's very, very important. And I know it's right here, but podcasts, I've seen a lot of people do really good stuff with podcasts in recent years. So sales strategy, not every business is gonna need a sales strategy, right? For some businesses, the sales strategy is gonna be, you know, SEO on Google, or, you know, targeted emails, targeted ads. Maybe it's an online website, right? But the sales strategy, part of the sales strategies, right, is how much are you gonna charge, right? Like you wanna make sure that you make profit. but that you're competitive enough where you're not losing on clients not coming to you. You want to talk about, if you're somebody that works with other businesses, right? Or even clients, right? Do you have a way to manage and track your meetings, the calls, the conversations, the follow-ups, right? A lot of people use Salesforce in big companies, but if you're a smaller company, how do you plan on making sure you keep track of all those businesses and that you touch on them, right? I know in my day when I was a banker, they used to tell us that it takes about 13 calls to get in front of a client that wants to finally talk to you, right? When you're cold calling. But as we talked about, there are many different ways to engage with clients in a more organic, or get the clients to come to you, right? So that's part of the sales strategy. Funding request. So if you're planning on asking for support, right, there's a few things to consider. This is one part of a series of presentations that talks about building the financial foundation, starting your small business, growing your small business, and pivoting your small business. And then we have more complex one around access to capital. So, most major banks will not do startup loans because we want to see financials. We want to make sure that you have, the business is doing well, that you have enough cash flow to repay the debt. But there are some things that you can leverage when you're starting, right? One of them being a business credit card. There are also other things, right, besides investors that you can leverage. I know Pace mentioned, they offer some lending services and support as well. And Pace is part of Pace is a CDFI as well, right? So there's other ways to get funding is what I'm trying to say, even for startups, right? So I'll just throw that out there. Does anybody know what a CDFI is? Yes, Nadia and Amy. So let me unmute you guys again. There you go.
So CDFI, if I remember well, it's dedicated for funding small businesses at the zero pointing level. So like without having a background of experience in the business field. So
yes, you're right on it. So CDFIs are community development financial institutions. They were created over 30, almost 40 years ago by the government to help increase business economic mobility in our communities, right? And so the idea was that by creating these CDFIs that they will be able to give the loans that most big banks won't be able to do, right? And so the CDFIs are funded by banks, not just by the government. They're primarily funded by other institutions. And so it's a win-win for major banks, right? Because Bank of America, for example, is a big donor to CDFIs because we have shareholders to respond to, right? That's why we have a risk framework, and we don't necessarily do risky loans. But CDFIs are able to provide different guidelines, and so that way we're still providing a support to the community. So a lot of CDFIs will do startup loans. Yes, it's true that they could give you a loan even if you don't have experience on the field, but they're going to want to know, right? What are your cash reserves? Do you have savings? Do you have any experience? Is there somebody in the business that's gonna have some experience in the business, right? So there is a lot of CDFIs out there, including Pace, that can help you get capital for your business. But again, that's also something that you want to think about, do the research and include it, right? You don't want to do the business plan and then somebody asks you, well, how do you plan on funding this? And I'm like, oh, well, let me ask you a CDFI. No, you want to have those conversations ahead of time and put them as part of the business plan. So financial projections is what it says, right? It's basically, this is where I anticipate the business to be based on how many clients I plan on getting every month, every year, based on the prices that I'm charging, based on the competition, based on my a market penetration, this is where I think I'm gonna go, right? And so these are things that you could do either through an accountant that you might have, maybe you're very tech savvy yourself, or there are things like QuickBooks Online that can help you set these things up for you as well. Cash flow, basically cash flow is the in and out of the money, right? Do I have enough money to pay for my upcoming debts? There are some really good tools that you can use as well. And we go deeper in other presentations as well. But a few things to know about that, right? Is break-even point for the cash flow purposes, burn rate, cash conversation cycle, cash flow budget, and negative cash flow. So basically, that's what cash flow is, right? It's like, do I have enough money? Am I collecting the money in time, right? And that's how cash flow is determined. So one example to make this kind of easy to understand, right? We had a client that came for a loan, and then we asked them, like, they wanted a line of credit, and we said, why? Well, they said, because I want to buy more inventory so that I can sell more, right? I'm like, great, but where is your money? How come you don't have the money if you're selling so much to buy more things? Turns out that he was letting his clients pay within 90, 120, 160 days, right? And so his cash flow cycle was very, very slow because he was having to buy the things, sell them within 30, 60 days, but he wasn't getting that money for another 60, 90 days, right? And so that's a problem. So those are things to think about when you're thinking of cash flow, and you want to provide an advantage, but not so much that it's hurting your business. Yes. Questions? Okay. So a couple of the other documents, profit and loss, right? Again, these are some of the documents that I shared earlier that you're going to have to need when you're requesting a loan, but they're important because they paint a picture of how well your business is doing, right? Is it healthy? Do you have enough money? Where the money is coming from, if there's a specific product or asset that is selling more, that sort of thing. So to recap here, some of the things that we talked about, this is everything that's included in the business plan. So I hope that helps. Again, I'm gonna share the link here in a second, but I wanted to get through this really quick as well. So one of the biggest challenges or I guess bad habits that we see is clients kind of commingling everything together, right? Especially when they're starting. I get it. You're like, well, I don't know if it's gonna work, so I don't want to set up an LLC. I don't want to open a business checking account. I'll just do everything through my personal, right? That is bad for a number of reasons, right? One of them being it doesn't allow you to keep really well track of how the business is doing. When it comes down to asking for loans, it's gonna be harder for the bank to determine like what's coming from where. Also, I mean, knock on wood, hopefully you don't have to deal with this, right? But when you're doing your taxes, or if Uncle Sam wants to do an audit, it's gonna create more problems than it solves, right? So setting the foundation good from the beginning makes a big difference. And even to this day, you can imagine how many clients we see where they're running their business through their personal account, and they want to keep running it that way. So and that might work for them, but if any of those things happen where they need a loan or an audit, or their CPA requests something, that's when they're gonna have a hard time. So I think everybody knows here that you have to pay for taxes. It's something that people also forget about. There are different companies that can help you do that. Accountants, CPAs help you do that as well. And a lot of systems these days, they have that included in the system as well. A few other things to consider for your business: insurance, right? Especially if you're dealing with clients or there's a risk involvement, a risk component involved. You want to be able to do that. If you're doing deliveries or you have a truck in your business, right, you're gonna have commercial insurance. So those are things that you need to not only consider, but also put as part of your business plan in terms of the cost, right? Like, 'cause when you start adding these things up, maybe you're not selling your product at a good price, right? So that's where you're gonna end up losing revenue the first year. So those are things that you want to anticipate and think about. So a few key takeaways here for the taxes, right? Talk to a professional. You're responsible for paying business taxes. And again, keeping things separately just makes your lives a lot easier, right? So there is a lot of resources. I'm gonna escape here, see really quick. Do you guys still see the screen? I think you do, right? Perfect. I want to share with you guys one more thing here. Let's see. Let's see, where is it? Sorry, I'll have to open it here. This is a website that is available to all of you guys, and it has a lot of the presentations that we talked about, and a lot more resources as well. So here we go. Okay, so I really just wanted to share this with you guys because a lot of the questions, Ms. Wilmore, we're gonna come back to you right now. But again, this is the website, is business.bankofamerica.com/resources. You can search for it as well. It has a lot of articles, a lot of tools. If you want to learn more about the different types of entities, you know, and this is a lot, right? But one thing you can is, where is it? Let me just go up here really quick again. I think it's because I just did this really quick. So there's you should have a questionnaire here. I think I just completed it. That's why it's not showing. But you can answer a few questions and it'll direct you to the resources that are more important to you. So Ms. Wilmore, for invoices on the account payable side, what should be the standard terms to pay 10, 15, 10 days or 30 or upon receipt? That is a really good question. It really depends, right? You could choose whichever one works for you, but you also have to consider that what the industry does, right? So if you're you know, selling a specific type of product and most other vendors do 30 days and you tell your clients that you're gonna do 10, they might choose to go with the other vendor, right? Even if the price is better with you because they're getting more days to pay for it, right? So that's a question for you that it's gonna be determined by the industry and how competitive you wanna be. But great question. What is the difference between the S Corp and C Corp? What are public nonprofits classified as? So there's a couple different ways that nonprofits can be classified as. And as far as S Corp and C Corp, actually, that's a really good question. So if we go to finance here, yeah, I think it's under accounting. There is an article that walks through the difference between SC and Corp. Yeah, text basics. It's right here. Sorry, I know we're running out of time and I want to make sure I answer a few more questions for you guys, but everything is here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can make this back into the main screen. I'll just make it bigger. But yeah, so if you go to taxes here in the page, there's a lot of tips about taxes, the different entities, how to choose them, that sort of thing. Again, Bank of America, we're not CPAs, we're not accountants. So instead of me telling you, I'm directing you to the resource because they've been approved to share with you and they have the correct information. Any other questions about anything we talked about? Or even if it's not on the presentation, any questions that come up? Perfect. So as I let you guys think about maybe some more questions, one more thing here is we have different ways that are different funding sources, right? We have a thing called Access to Capital for Entrepreneurs. And the Access to Capital directory, right? So this is also an external website. So going back to the CDFIs, including PACE, right? If you wanted to find out a specific type of loan, or maybe angel investors, sorry, or grants, right? You could search here and it'll direct you to the place. The easiest way to search really is maybe like Los Angeles, for example, and it'll tell you a few CDFIs that are available in Los Angeles, but there are some national ones as well, and this is free. If this seems a little complicated, right from here, right, where it says learn more about types of capital, if you click here, wait, no, that's not the one. Right here where it says a new way to connect to capital, you can click here, answer a few questions, and we'll pair you up with a CDFI that can help you the most as well. Once again, I want to point out that PACE does a great job as well. So if you haven't talked to them about that, please do. But these are just some of the resources that the bank has available as well. But
Manny,
yes,
so somebody asked you for the
biggest,
send you
yeah.
small BofA small biz resource link again,
Yes,
please.
let me put it here.
So can you put in the chat box so everybody can see?
Yep, I'm doing it right now. Sorry, I don't have chat option, and I had to do it through the phone here. So .com/resources. Please let me know if that link works for all of you guys. And that way, I'll follow up with a few other tools and links as well. So I want to answer the question: biggest number one downfall of businesses unable to sustain themselves. Really, I mean, it really always comes down to money, right? Because you can start a business, you can tell yourself, I have $5,000, I'm gonna start my business, right? And you put everything into your business. That is the biggest downfall, because you don't know how things are gonna go. And if you run out of money, you start borrowing, you get in debt, all of a sudden the business fails and you have to sell, right? Versus putting together the business plan, securing some type of funding, saving enough money to tell yourself, I have 6 months in addition to opening the business, setting up the LLC, buying the product. And so that's what makes, that's the biggest downfall, really. That's not to say that you can never start a business without having extra cash, but it really does make a big difference when it comes down to sustaining it. Perfect. Thank you, Semaji, for the links. I appreciate that. Any last questions? I know we're at time. Some of you guys are dropping off, but really appreciate your engagement and time. Any last questions? Okay.
Yeah, I think we are good. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much. It's been a
you.
pleasure. And to all of you, good luck with your business. I hope I get to see some of you out there and I get to buy your products or services. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.